Hey, Dr. J in the house. Evan, how are we doing today, man?
Hey man, I'm doing great. Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday to you. How was your weekend?
It was great. Actually, I'm feeling much better. I donated some blood again, which I was telling you off air, and my vision, which I thought was caused from overuse of looking at computer screens, my vision was kind of wonky.
Yep.
My vision literally cleared up like right after donating blood. So this is very interesting because you find nothing in the literature about vision and high iron. At least maybe unless I missed the research, I didn't find anything. But when I got the blood out of my body, boom, my vision was clear. Do you
I
have
know
an
we did a
explanation?
podcast on this recently too with elevations in iron. I think back in May, we did a nice podcast on this, how that can create some oxidation issues. There could have been some kind of oxidation reaction. It could have been just maybe putting some stress on your antioxidant reserves. It's hard to say, but I think it's good everyone get their iron levels checked. It's something that I've been putting off. I just try to do like at least two, in-depth blood tests a year, and that involves a lot of vials, and then maybe one other test that involves blood, like a micronutrient panel, and that may be enough, like 3 good times a year. I know we talked about with you kind of on the phlebotomy side is just doing something at least once a quarter.
Yeah. And for people that are, for women specifically that are menstruating, this is probably not an issue that's going to happen, but we do have quite a bit of male listeners too. So if you guys are having any type of symptoms that are just not making sense, run that iron panel, because I was also noticing my mental energy was lower. And,
Totally.
and when I left the Red Cross, my mental energy had skyrocketed. So iron energy levels, uh, in terms of sleep, grogginess, mood, it could all be related to iron overload. And I suspect more people have iron overload. Males suspect iron overload, and most people don't have a clue.
100%. Well, let's dig in here. We got a couple of questions here. One from Amy. What can men and women do for hair loss? Well, first thing for both sexes is make sure your gut function is doing well, because if we're not absorbing good fats and good proteins, we're not going to have the building blocks to make our healthy hair. That's number one. Number two, on the female side and even the male side, is make sure thyroid function is optimal. I would say, TSH below 2.5, your free T3 levels in at least the upper 50% range, free T3 wise, is adequate. That's
So what would
important.
that be? Usually like a
Above
2.8,
three,
3,
above
something
three.
like that.
A
Okay.
3 or above, I think, is adequate. You need thyroid hormone to help mature and grow the hair follicles. So low thyroid hormone levels could potentially drive hair follicle loss. In men, you can also see increases of DHT can starve out oxygen and blood flow to the hair follicle. So that's why things like Arimidex have helped, or you can do now natural 5-alpha reductase inhibitors like selenium, lycopene, saw palmetto, pumpkin seed. This can kind of block a lot of that down. Now, the question is, why does a lot of that DHT increase? I mean, I would lean on inflammation. I would lean on insulin resistance. I would lean on genetic predisposition. So I would really just do your best to make sure inflammation's under control, and then just really increase some of those nutrients to help block that 5-alpha reductase compound: zinc, selenium, saw palmetto, lycopene, pumpkin seed. Those are helpful nutrients that you can do. And on the female side, I would just say really just dial in the thyroid, really dial in the digestion. Those would be the first things I would look at.
Yeah, and look for the antibodies too. And you said that without saying it. I know it's in your brain, but you didn't
Oh,
say it.
yes.
Which is, look at the antibodies, because almost every single woman that you see, almost every single woman that I see, has some type of an autoimmune component to her thyroid. So just making sure you get those antibody levels down.
Yeah, over 50% of thyroid issues are autoimmune. So when we talk about thyroid, autoimmune is already being plugged in as the big issue, because that is going to be the major mechanism. And we know gluten sensitivity is a big part of that. So gluten can easily drive a lot of that. And if you just Google gluten or gluten issues or gluten sensitivity and do like alopecia areata, which is an autoimmune condition with hair loss. Not quite the same thing as like hair thinning. It's you literally have patches of hair come out, and that can actually be autoimmune driven. And we know there's a gluten connection with alopecia. Also, yeast as well can potentially drive alopecia and autoimmune stuff. So anything that creates malabsorption in the gut, whether it's bacteria, parasites, yeast overgrowth, anything that lowers thyroid, whether it's lower thyroid issue from a primary issue with the pituitary from stress, or whether it's an autoimmune issue. And then, of course, the DHT stuff on the guy side.
And the infections, addressing infections, because my
That's going
reverse
to affect the
T3,
gut.
Yeah, my reverse T3 was too high, and a lot of it, I believe, was my gut issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Gabe writes in, can intermittent fasting help me absorb nutrition better? Heard it also calms inflammation. I'm dealing with malabsorption. I'll let you tackle that one first, Evan.
Yeah, so intermittent fasting, I mean, there's definitely some benefits. Now, if you're dealing with malabsorption, though, then we got to figure out why is that happening. So the first step would be to get a GI map stool test and try to look for infections. I'd also look at getting the organic acids and try to find maybe a yeast or a bacterial overgrowth issue, because if those guys are stealing your nutrients, I'm more worried about that than worried about whether the fasting would help you absorb better. It's like, okay, if you've got a bunch of these bugs and every time you eat, they're trying to eat too. To me, that's like the first priority. And I dealt with this personally, which is why my fingernails still have the ridges on them, because I had malabsorption issues for who knows, maybe 15 years of my life. And in terms of calming inflammation, I mean, addressing the gut bugs will calm inflammation too. So if you have H. pylori or some other bug, that's also going to keep you inflamed. And no matter how much you fast, you're not going to magically cure those bugs with fasting.
No, you're not. And again, we've had conversations with people off air about fasting. I mean, I see a lot of issues with patients that have hormonal imbalances where they're very blood sugar sensitive. They go too long without eating. There's a lot of irritability, a lot of adrenal and blood sugar issues. So a lot of people I see on that side do better eating a little bit more frequently. And we try to lengthen it, between meals a little bit longer and move into being able to intermittent fast, a day or two a week. But most people benefit from intermittent fasting on the digestive side because they're just giving their digestive system a break. Maybe they're not eating the foods that would be aggravating it, and then that kind of calms down the inflammation, and then the gut works better for a period of time, but it's not going to fix the root issue. It's just giving it a break. It's kind of like if, you didn't walk on your ankle for half the day. Well, it may feel a little bit better in the last half of the day when you do, because you gave it a little bit more time to rest, if you will.
Yep. So, I mean, it could be part of a healing protocol, but it's not the cure-all.
No, it's not root causal. And there's no magic in eating nothing. If that's the case, anyone that would be on the streets or homeless that didn't eat, would have perfect health. And that's just not how it is. And I get that's an oversimplification, but it's true. Yep. We actually need nutrients to run our pathways.
We do.
Justin writes in, any recommendations helping to recover from Epstein-Barr virus? I'm a big fan of medicinal mushrooms. I'm gonna take some right now, actually. I just finished it yesterday. But reishi medicinal mushrooms are excellent. Absolutely love that. Long term, I think ashwagandha is wonderful. I have a product called Ashwagandha Supreme. I love it. I take it 4 capsules during the week, maybe 6 for real stress.
Do you do evening doses as well, or do you just do your ashwagandha during the day?
If I'm stressed, I'm feeling like a little bit just like I had a long day with patients, I'm feeling really stressed, I'll do that. Maybe some GABA, magnesium, just to kind of chill out. Yeah. But it can be helpful. It's great long-term immune support. It's great adrenal support, cortisol modulation and balance, and good HPA axis support. Also with that, we can do silver, we can do monolaurin, we can do the reishi, like I mentioned, that's excellent. We can do cat's claw. Those are a couple of really good supports that can be done to help.
Yeah, the monolaurin's great. The lauric acid formula comes from coconuts. I have one called Biofilm Buster that I use, and that one is a potent antiviral. And you really turned me on to the silver, so the silver could be useful too. And then you mentioned the reishi. I'd say any of the mushrooms too, but reishi would be probably the go-to. Cordyceps, shiitake, maitake could be helpful. And then astragalus. I'm a huge fan of astragalus. I love taking it. I take it almost every day during the summer because of all the ticks here. I don't want to get Lyme. So I take 3 grams. I take 7 capsules a day of astragalus, and I have an organic source that I use, and that is helpful. You can't really get rid of the virus. You can just shut Epstein-Barr down. That's kind of my understanding.
Yeah, totally. Any knowledge and opinions on the health benefits of carbon-60? Never heard of it.
Yeah, I have. Really? Yeah, so the carbon-60, it's like this patented version of olive oil. And it's supposed to just be like this miracle cure, and everyone is taking it. Let me look and see if there was another, because I had heard there's another one that's different though. So that's one, and then there's another one that's called C60, and it's something different. It's avocado oil, and then there's another one that's C60 coconut oil. And
yeah, I'm familiar with the MCT oil, like the hexanoic acid. Like, Dave Asprey has it in the brain octane. Other people have it as well, which is primarily used by the brain. I'm familiar with that. That has 6 carbons on it for sure.
So, for example, a 4-ounce bottle of this stuff is $100.
That's really expensive. And
it says that it's a monomolecular pure C60 suspended in avocado oil. I mean, look, anytime that there's something promoted as like a silver bullet like that, I just am a little bit skeptical. I've not personally taken it, so I'm not going to tell you that it's not awesome. But it says here what they do. Get this. It says, here's how we create C60. We use rods of elemental carbon vaporized by electricity in a helium atmosphere. This method imitates the way C60 is made in the atmosphere of giant red stars.
That just sounds a little bit out there for me.
For $100 for a 4-ounce bottle.
Yeah, it sounds a little crazy. I would need a lot more clinical feedback on people that have had amazing results. But I mean, if we're just working on getting extra good carbons in there, good healthy fats, I mean, I think a good MCT oil, I think, is a great way to go. But I'm not sure about this carbon 60 thing.
For a 16-ounce bottle, $370.
Crazy.
So let's see like before and after lab results. Okay, it promises to do this with mitochondria. Okay, here's before and after. Nothing else was done except this supplement. Look at what it did to the mitochondria.
Yes.
Then I'd be like, okay, it's a miracle.
Exactly. Charlie writes in, when doing the 201 car test, will it negatively affect the test results if you walk to other rooms to do waking sample? I mean, I would just try to follow the instructions as much as possible and not be doing a whole bunch of physical stress to jack up your cortisol. Try to be as stationary as possible.
Yep. You want to read this one from Gary? I'll read it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm dealing with depression, etc. They tell me plant-based diet. Been doing it for 4 weeks. Not much success. Any thoughts? I'm not going back on meds.
Yeah, I mean, the big problem is a lot of people need protein for healthy brain chemistry, and it's hard to get enough protein in a plant-based diet. It's especially hard to get a lot of protein when you're consuming a lot of carbohydrates along with it. And if you're on the insulin resistant side, that could drive up inflammation. A lot of the new medications used that are coming out down the pipeline for depression, they're actually anti-inflammatory for the brain because they understand that inflammation in the brain can drive mood disorders. So the best thing is an anti-inflammatory diet. A lot of plant-based diets may have a lot of lectins and phytates and a lot of other anti-nutrients in it, and or it could just be really high in carbohydrates. If you're insulin resistant, that could be a problem. People that do best on a plant-based diet, typically they're going to be supplementing additional protein either from hemp or pea or rice. And then a lot of times they'll be doing some B12. They may be doing a lot of good fat from coconut and olive and nuts and seeds, and they may be able to tolerate the carbs better. Right? But it's really hard to do it adequately without some kind of a plant-based protein supplement. And they're probably doing DHA algae support, fish oil support from algae instead. So that's kind of how you can do it right. I think it's easier to have the good animal proteins and animal fats in there because they're so heat stable and they're so protein rich and fat rich without all of the additional carbs with it. And we can still do a whole bunch of the plants. We just try to choose healthy sources and we prepare it in a way that makes it easier to digest and process.
And I know we've done podcasts all on depression. So just go on Justin's site, justinhealth.com, or go on my site, evanbrand.com. Type in depression. You'll find entire hours dedicated to this. Also, I believe Justin and I both have done a YouTube video. I know I have for sure on depression and some of the stuff that helped me because I was depressed for a long time. So just go like on YouTube, type in depression, Justin Health, or Evan Brand. You'll find the videos.
Totally. Cool. Let's keep on rolling. Is there a supplement to help me fall asleep and stay asleep? I wake up every night 1 to 3 times and have trouble sleeping sometimes as well. Evan, what do you think?
I mean, that's hard, right? There could be a million reasons why you can't fall asleep. What if you're checking your phone? You're probably looking at your phone on social media before bed, which is a terrible idea. You're suppressing melatonin. So it could be something that simple. It could be that your cortisol is a little too elevated. It could be that you're having a blood sugar crisis in the middle of the night. Blood sugar's crashing and that's waking you up. It could be that your liver's overburdened. It could be that you have too much light pollution in your bedroom, or you have dirty electricity in your bedroom, or your bedroom is too warm and you're restless because of it, or your bed sucks and it's too uncomfortable, or you have gut infections that are waking you up. You know what I mean? So this is like a huge can of worms and you're not going to get the answer that quick. But is there a supplement that could help? Yeah, maybe. You could try like Pharma-GABA. You could try the ashwagandha that Justin was just talking about, reishi mushroom that is helpful. Yeah, phosphatidylserine is great, but you got to figure out the root cause because something is likely going on. And those are just a few ideas to think about. So look into your gut, look into your adrenals.
Yeah, if it's an anxiety issue, sometimes women that have lower progesterone levels, that could be a problem too. So there's a bunch of potential things there, and it's different for each sex. So I mean, we'd have to know kind of male, female, menopausal, cycling, whatever. That helps a lot too.
Yeah, there was a follow-up from this same person here. What is the reason why I wake up with sore legs? They feel heavy. I mean, and no exercise the day before. That could just be mitochondria. What do you think?
It could be mitochondrial stuff. I'd look at how much amino acids you're getting and just try to get some good mitochondrial support and some extra amino acids in and see. I'd also want to know, what's your day like? Are you at a stand desk? Are you sitting all day? Are you seated all day? What does that stress look like? It's really hard to say. Are you getting enough minerals? Could it be like some kind of a muscle cramping thing because of mineral issues? Really hard to say. And then, of course, anytime we have gut issues can cause any symptoms. So anytime I see like weird symptoms, I'm like, all right, let's look at the gut. Let's look at infections. Let's look at potential autoimmunity through foods, because that can easily drive like kind of fibromyalgia like symptoms, which can cause those kind of symptoms as well. So yeah.
Yep. I think you've got like literally 1 minute. So let's try to hit one more.
Absolutely. Any thoughts on iodine for thyroid health, Lugol's, iodoral, or nascent?
Well,
So in general, like nascent's a big thing. I think Dr. Edward Group at Global Healing Centers pushes that one. I think the dose is reasonable. I'm not sure if it needs to be in this nascent form. A good potassium iodide, I think is fine. I have one called Iodine Synergy that works great. I'm a big fan of, number one, make sure thyroid inflammation and inflammation in the body is generally stabilized before you add iodine in. I start lower at a couple hundred micrograms and work up slowly. I've seen more negative effects from going too high with iodine than not. So I err on the side of going lower and tapering up slower. With some of the Lugol's, it may be at 2 to 5 milligrams, which in my opinion is too high. If you have it, you may just put a drop in 7 ounces of water and just do a quick sip once a day. And that way you can at least break it down to like 1/7 of the dose. But in general, I try to go slower, work it up, make sure there's adequate selenium and other minerals present, magnesium, zinc, those kind of things. Good multi there, good rich diet in minerals before you go up. I'm always concerned about, too high and exacerbating an autoimmune attack.
yeah, that's all I was going to say, was that if there is autoimmunity, you got to be careful because it can make it worse. And we've seen the antibodies go up from people that went to a practitioner and they just got like super dosed with iodine and they got worse. So
100%. Cool, Evan. Anything else you wanted to mention?
I think that's it. I mean, we can hit up the other questions, next week, but we both got to roll. And so in the meantime, if you all want to reach out to Justin for help, go to his site, justinhealth.com. And if you want to check out me, you can check out evanbrand.com. We love helping you all. We love talking to you, and we'll be back next Monday.
Yeah, I'll be back on Friday for my live Q&A, guys. So any questions I didn't get to, we'll hit it up there. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, give me a share, pound that bell, tell a friend or family member. We're here to help you all out. We love interacting and appreciate you guys being active participants in this conversation.
Take care.
Evan, take care. Bye now.